Hello, everybody. How you doing? Hope everyone's okay. It's Damon. With this time, there's not gonna be a list. Actually, that the second half of the name is not gonna be there for the next two videos. And I thought that today I would do a double feature of rebooking a WrestleMania. And in that feature, I want to make sure it's not a WrestleMania that people expect to be rebooked. Because usually when people rebook a WrestleMania, it's a WrestleMania that's not enjoyed, like the second, the fourth, the 11th, ninth. I will try to rebook, like I mentioned with WrestleMania 12, WrestleMania 14. I try to catch the eye of most people because the two WrestleManias I rebooked are not some things that many people would like to see rebooked. I'm talking about WrestleMania 10 and I'm talking about WrestleMania 17. Right now, I bet you your jaw hit the floor because you expect, well, WrestleMania 17, Damon, is the perfect WrestleMania. Is the close one of the closest being perfect, but it's not perfect. I remember this, but basically I remember that the light weight title was on the line. Some people were off the show, and some people basically didn't get their match. I mean, Jacqueline Moore is in Texas and never had a WrestleMania match. It bugs me. I'm not gonna say it's basically that it keeps me from sleeping at night, but it bugs me that as celebrated as an athlete that she was, as a transcender she never got a proper WrestleMania match. For that matter, I love the Stevie Richards show, and Stevie, if you're watching this, haha, haha. But I dislike the fact he never had a WrestleMania match too. Things like that added up, like little things. So WrestleMania 10, similarly, there's some things you have to add up, but there's things that people weren't booked that should have been, or maybe things that could have happened that didn't. So I'll do a lead up before this in terms of storyline for WrestleMania 10. First off, Lex Luger does win the WWE title at SummerSlam 1993 and loses it after the Survivor Series. I wanted to go through one pay-per-view when basically Yoko isn't the champion, and Luger is still a sole survivor, but loses soon after. Then he declares the Raw Rumble. Actually, no, he was blocked. You could have basically had the storyline where Lex Luger is blocked from entering the Raw Rumble. And basically, in that case, you still have Undertaker losing to Yokozuna casket match or the Raw Rumble 1994, but it's because of Yokozuna and his goon squad. But after the match, after basically this whole debacle happens, Luger comes into the ring and basically comes to help the Undertaker. The Undertaker's already in the casket. Basically, you can have still the same angle, but he comes out to help, but to no avail. There's too many people. So I want to keep Lex Luger strong. So at WrestleMania, he's not gonna face Yokozuna, but he's gonna face the goons of Camp Cornette, and that will be Bam Bam Bigelow and January Tenryu. So we have an handicap match. You have Lex Luger against Tenryu and Bam Bam Bigelow. You have the Bret Owen thing happen anyway. That's a given. It's not taken away. It's the same as in real life. This I'm not gonna touch and rebook it. Savage versus Crush. I thought for a match. Basically, I think that the the issue with this match isn't the match. It's the fact that it's an overlooked match that happened on the same card that Bret Owen and Shawn Razor. If it was basically at, I don't know, Royal Rumble 1994, people would be raving about this match. The problem is the third best match on the show that's basically excellent. And I want to pay homage to the past. Like you Leilani Kai, it's like people didn't mention it, but I thought it was a great thing that basically showed at WrestleMania 10 to pay homage to the first WrestleMania, which was the women's champion. And I will do that too. But there's so many people. Like Bob Backlund was in the card, knowing what's going to happen later on that year. I thought he could have been. Rick Martel was supposed to 10-man tag. Rick Martel deserved better. Uh, so yeah, Doink the Clown, I would have him have a mini feud as a face, but since you fired Matt Bourne, you could have Bray Apollo play an annoying heel, but not a evil heel, annoying Doink, which basically like many failed faces, people that start at face, basically will be hated and all of a sudden be turned into a heel. And this is when Earthquake returns. So I would still have Bret Hart win the Rumble, but he would win it being the only winner. In that stipulation, Owen demands a match against Bret Hart no matter what, and it would. The only thing that Jack Tunney would tell him is like the title shot is on the line. Bret will indeed wrestle Yokozuna later on that night, and you get that. Now you could have basically Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, and you would have like in real life the first match of the card. You would have Owen Hart beat Bret Hart. That would be the first thing there. Now, second match. The second match would be as retirement because I felt like it's ridiculous that both of them feuded since after WrestleMania 5 but never had a blow-off match pay-per-view. I would have Tito Santana's retirement match against Rick Martel. And Tito Santana would lose the match, but he wouldn't lose by submission against the Boston Crab from Rick Martel. He'd lose a similar way to how Bret lost to Bulldog. And after the match, Tito and Rick Martel would embrace and deliver a handshake, which would be completely opposite of Bret Owen, which I thought would have been basically like because Tito was the first WrestleMania and was basically at the all the way to the entire WrestleMania from 1 to 9. I felt like could have gotten a send off there. He didn't need to be basically after summer 1993 doesn't need to be on the road full time. He could have just been brought back for that match as a send off to Tito. So that's what I've done. Third match, like in real life, would have been Macho Man Randy Savage's crush. Savage wins the same way. You need to have a face win. And people can say, well, Damon, how come basically two heels won first and then the face won finally in the third match? Well, it happened in WrestleMania 10 in real life, so it worked out in real life, so I don't see why it wouldn't work out here. Fourth match, it'd be for the women's championship, and it would be indeed Alundra Blaze defending against Leilani Kai's charge, Luna Vachon. Luna always had mixed tag match at WrestleMania. One, and that's the only thing she got. And she deserved better, much better. I mean, she had a match, basically, yeah, that she won with Bam Bam, was basically a joke match with Doink and Dink. And the other match, basically, she had a WrestleMania 14, was very good, but the one person who got cheered after the match was the one who was the least talented of the four individuals. People can cheer Sable, but it took Mero, Goldust, and Luna to work that match to protect Sable, to basically build her image as an ass kicker when she was anything but. And Luna was basically, her job was threatened. She was threatened to not hurt Sable or else her job was on the line. And the moment she made the whole match be incredible and made something entertaining, barely anybody congratulated her. They were all over Sable. So I feel like you're going to give her a women's title match at WrestleMania 10. She would lose a match, but at least it'd be something. Now, for the World Tag Team title match, I would actually do a four-way match. Quebecers to me are one of the most underrated tag teams of all time, and honestly one of the best underrated tag teams of all time. And I would have them, first of all, change manager to none other than Ray Rougeau. So, because Fabulous Rougeaus, Quebecers, they were so hilarious. And they will go to WrestleMania and would defend against Men on a Mission, but also against the Steiner Brothers and against 1, 2, 3 Kid and Marty Jannetty. I would have 1, 2, 3 kid Marty Jannetty win because Marty would be fired out right afterwards. Steiners would leave soon afterwards. Fine. So give Men on a Mission the World Tag Titles. You basically did it in an house show, basically in England back in the day. What can you just do it at WrestleMania? Now just realize that I need Yokozuna to have an actual match too to justify what for Bret Hart to actually wrestle twice. So I will have Yokozuna defend the WWE title, and it has to be it has to be against I would have him defend it against none other than Tatanka. I would have Tatanka be on a streak, would avenge himself against Ludwig Borga, and basically go on to wrestle, defeat any one of Cornette and Fuji's charges to gain that opportunity. So you would get the first shot at it, and you would lose, but would lose via banzai drop due to a crooked referee. Could be Mr. Perfect, could be anybody else. In this case, and yeah, you would have this 10-man tag match. Would have Bob Backlund's team that would involve Bob Ollie. What else was there? Could have Bob Ollie. Sorry, I'm just thinking about who else was in the roster there. You would have Bob Ollie, Bob Backlund, the Smoking Guns, and sorry, I'm just thinking which other character they were back then. Uh, how the hell with this? Let's have Virgil in this. And teaming up against the team of Adam Bomb, Jeff Jarrett, IRS, and Ed Shrinker. The team of Adam Bomb would win. Bob Backlund would seem to be on his way to win, as he does basically the crossface chicken win on Jeff Jarrett. But little does he know in this case that he was tagged out by mistake, basically accidentally tagged out by Bob Ollie. So he doesn't even realize he's the illegal man. So as basically he goes out there, basically he doesn't know what's happening. He's distracting the referee. Adam Bomb comes out from nowhere and does his top rope flying clothesline, which really he was one of the best flying clothesline guys in the business. He does it to Adam Bomb. Adam Bomb does it to Bob Ollie. Does basically what is now known as the Riptide, the pump handle bomb. And as it comes to, Jeff Jarrett pins Bob Ollie. Why do I did this? Because that leads up to Bob Backlund snapping. But in this case, you want it to be the first time he snaps, and basically what it seems to counterintuitive. I would have Bob Backlund apologize after this, and for several months he doesn't. You kind of seems like he wants to, but he doesn't. He wants to snap if let's say there's a loss, he doesn't. But you kind of feels like basically after one loss, then he gets a little bit of a streak, but then challenge Bret Hart, and then you have the same turns in real life. But you won't have it completely here. You basically build it up as Bob Backlund to match one until an accidental tag by Bob Ollie. Now, you would have Earthquake squashing. I would have Earthquake squashing during the annoying clown. Not the evil clown, the annoying clown. Same thing as in real life. Then you have the IC title match, same as real life. Razor Ramon faces Shawn Michaels, an excellent ladder match, an exceptional one, and Razor's wins. And you have in the WWE title match, you have Bret Hart overcoming the odds and defeating Yokozuna. Defeating Yokozuna fair and square, but this time it's not because Yoko slipped. It's because Bret dodged the banzai drop, then rolled up Yokozuna on his own to win the title. And I was struggling. If you saw that a bit earlier, I was struggling because I want to say maybe as a shock to everybody and as a throwback to WrestleMania 1, maybe have Hulk Hogan come out to present the belt to Bret Hart. But then I think myself like, yeah, let's probably say that doesn't work for me, brother. But in an ideal world, that would have happened. And maybe it would have been Hogan losing to Yokozuna during the night. But if not, then just keep it the way same way it was, just with Bret Hart definitely beating Yokozuna. That's my WrestleMania 10. WrestleMania 17 was much more fun to book because 10 was more limited, 17 was more unlimited. Like I mentioned, I wanted the lightweight title match on the card. Crash Holly was a champion. I would start out. Let's not forget ECW just went under. Paul Heyman's on commentary. So Crash Holly goes to basically Crash Holly decides that he wants an open challenge. He wants to be on a WrestleMania card. So he puts his lightweight title on the line against anybody who comes in, and it's Jerry Lynn. The same match at the Backlash 2001, they have it here. And Jerry Lynn wins the title. Could be on the pre-show if you want to, but that's it. Now, the card would open, and Chris Jericho would indeed start the WrestleMania 17 card by defending the Intercontinental title, but it wouldn't be up against William Regal. I mean, he was often wrestling against X-Pac, and I think I would continue have this feud perdure there. But after a one-on-one match on Raw, it'd be interrupted by William Regal's newest charge, Yoshihiro Tajiri. So basically, you could have Chris Jericho do the same antics to William Regal, but William Regal's going to get Zen dirty against Y2J. He's sending off Tajiri to do the job. And basically, they're going to do the job because Jericho remains champion by pinning X-Pac to retain the IC title. Now, as I mentioned, I felt like Jacqueline and Stevie Richards needed a WrestleMania match, and this is what I'm going to deliver on. Instead of a six-man tag match, it will be a 10-person tag match. It'll be Taz teaming up with Hardcore Holly. Basically, Bob Holly is in 10-man tag here. Taz, Hardcore Holly, APA, and Jacqueline team up against the Right to Censor, which includes Stevie Richards this time around, Bull Buchanan, Val Venus, Godfather, and Molly Holly, who's been converted in the weeks beforehand to the Right to Censor, which is why Hardcore Holly joins the fray. And as in real life, Taz team wins. Now we got the Hardcore title match, and there's a reason why I mentioned ECW, because there'll be Raven. Raven defends a match that's supposed to be a five-way scramble match. He's going to defend like in real life against Big Show, against Kane, but also against Al Snow and against Steve Blackman. Because I felt like all the time you spent building up Steve Blackman, you should have continued building him up. And Al Snow was always entertaining. And be a very fun, entertaining match when also nowhere ECW guys interfere. And yeah, ECW guys, like you could have Just Incredible come out, try to basically hit people with kendo sticks, but he's taken out by Steve Blackman, who in return gets taken out by Tommy Dreamer. I mean, Tommy Dreamer will get basically that spotlight there, and him and also with Brawl, will basically brawl the back. Then you have S.A. Rios, have Billy Gunn, and this is where Kane decides to throw just about everybody else off the stage and does the same finish, basically does a big leg drop, or you can have I would actually prefer is leaping top rope clothesline to win the hardcore title. And you could have everybody else being scared of using 24/7 rule afterwards when they notice who it is. When he does his Michael Myers setup, nobody wants to touch it. So, now, what would I do differently? I would have Paul Heyman announce 2 weeks in advance that since ECW closed down under his watch, but not because of him, he wanted to basically say properly say goodbye to ECW. Rhino defend the ECW title against Rob Van Dam. And this is where it will be the introduction to RVD so that later on that summer when there's Alliance, people are more accustomed to him. So you introduce Rhino, you introduce RVD, and just seeing basically with the fans, basically, RVD was able to convince fans to love him like after one match of this. People forgot how basically the guy got over. People talk about, oh, whatever, people that oh, Ricochet couldn't get, should have been over. RVD got over in WWE after 1, 2 matches only and got over big. Everybody in the arena was chanting his damn name. People forget how the guy is popular. And I believe Rhino against RVD, the RVD already had basically a following from ECW. He would have been able to get the crowd on their feet. So Rhino would have faced against RVD, and RVD's winning streak at WrestleMania would begin here by winning the ECW title. So yeah. Then you would have Test against Eddie Guerrero. And I was struggling to put Test against Eddie Guerrero, knowing Eddie Guerrero would have troubles there, and I was thinking maybe putting somebody else in that spot, and maybe put Eddie Guerrero in the IC title match. But we could have the same thing as in real life. You could have Eddie Guerrero win the European title. You could also have Test retain. This is where it's like no problem. Then you have Kurt Angle versus you know whom. I'm not even bother saying his name. And you'd have Kurt Angle win. But this time he would win via Angle Slam. Ivory would still get squashed against China in a women's title match. Now, rather than having Shane McMahon versus Vince McMahon, I would have basically Mick Foley come back to what should have been his last match, since he was pretending that he regretted wrestling at WrestleMania 17. He would, but it'd be a tag match. It'd be Mick Foley teaming up with Shane O'Mac to take on William Regal and Vince McMahon with Trish Stratus as special referee. They think the eels think that they have the face so cornered they're gonna win because Trish is gonna be on their side, and for the whole build to WrestleMania, she's on the side of Vince McMahon and William Regal, but she does the turn at WrestleMania. And Linda also does her turn, and basically you have the same kind of ending, but instead of basically having an awkward setup for the Van Terminator, you basically have Mandible Claw that knocks out Vince into the corner. He slouches in the corner, and then boom, Shane O'Mac with the Van Terminator 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that would be it. Now, the last few matches similar to real life. World Tag Title TLC match. You have Dudley's with Spike Dudley. You have Edge and Christian. They're gonna have Ryan on their side, but they basically because he'd be out of their ECW title match. Exceptional would be he'd be Aku on their side, and it'd be Arties with Lita, and Aku would help Edge and Christian win the World Tag Title. So that's the only thing that changes. Giving Battle Royal, I just want to laugh. Sorry, just want to laugh, and you can still have the Iron Sheik win. Undertaker versus Kane, similar in real life. Have Undertaker win. Except the only thing there would be a difference is Shawn Michaels try to interfere in Triple H's favor, but doesn't pan out, and Undertaker still wins. And now for the main event. I would still have Stone Cold Steve Austin facing off against The Rock. And I would still have Vince McMahon interfere. But I would have him interfere after basically hinting that one of those two have been bought by himself. Doing a SummerSlam 1992 SummerSlam 1992 kind of storyline. You think one of them sold out, and both of them are distracted by Vince McMahon, which leads to Rock hitting a stunner on Austin, Austin hitting the rock bottom on Rock, and it leads up to basically both of them kicking out of every one of their finishers. Rock basically hits Vince. Austin used that opportunity to nail Rock with a chair because it's no DQ. And does another stunner. He kicks out. This is when he snaps and does 17 chair shots just to remind us what kind of WrestleMania it is. And he pins The Rock. And after the match, Austin and Vince basically stare at each other. You think they're going to shake hands. And they do. and then Vince received another stunner. So it wouldn't be a heel turn. It'd be basically he went from basically being honestly not as a mad. Austin wasn't as crazy, as enraged, as angry as he used to be. Be a return to angry Austin from 1997. That's what I would have done at that point. So that will be what I would book for WrestleMania 10 and WrestleMania 17. Let me know what you think. Then comment down below. I'll catch you guys later. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.